Welcome to the SWBL podcast presented by 1356 Public House. And for this captain's interview, we are joined by Steve Hayes, co-captain of the Athletics. We are going to be, like we have been, touching on the roster, touching on season 21, having some fun, talking wiffle ball. Steve, how you been, buddy? Thanks for doing this.
I'm doing great, Brian. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into it. Let's start with the roster, and looking a little bit back at season 20. You guys ended up 4-6, not quite where you wanted to be. You guys were still in that conversation for a playoff spot going into the last part of Sunday and Monday. So just kind of what do you remember about last year, and everything? I guess just what kind of put a button on season 20 and we'll start looking at season 21. But
I think what I remember most about last year was that, we were in a lot of games. I mean, ultimately, we fell short, but I think the bright spots of last year was we brought in Evan Coe, and I think it took him a couple games to really get started on the mound, but I think he really settled in his last couple games and he finished strong. And I feel like always everyone's second year into the league, they do better. And I think Chris had another great season. Paul, another great season. Me and Mike played solid. Alex, Josh too. But I think overall it's just we've always been that 4-6 and 5-5, which is fine, but we're still we fell a little short, and we're still looking to go back to the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Well, so you had some solid performances. You guys have a big roster. Alex, yourself, Paulie, Chris Vorbeck, Mike Carl, Josh Rogers, and Evan you added last year. So
yeah,
one of the biggest rosters in the league. Now that's not that's less uncommon nowadays than it used to be. I mean, it used to be 4 guys, 5 max, and I think with the talent that's around and friends and stuff like that, teams have grown, but I think sometimes people see the positives of having depth.
Yeah.
You making a change. There are probably more pitcher onlys nowadays than there used to be. But you talked about the performances, and unfortunately you guys were the only team without a single player in the top 21. How did the team feel about that?
It was to be expected. We're always counted out. I feel like we're always we're on the outside, even if we do have good performances. No, we're never really talked about, but that's fine. That's part of that's always in the back of our mind. That's part of our reputation, that it's always the shock the world mentality. Even if we do have good performances, everyone's going to kind of forget about it the next year. I mean, Chris Vorbeck is one of the best players in the league. I still think he's top 10 player, but yet he's brought up the list. He batted 700, I think, as a rookie, and he still batted like 500 last year, but that doesn't mean he's going to go back to his rookie season this year. Paul is consistently one of the best 3-way players in the league between his hitting, his fielding, his pitching, but he's kind of always left off too. And I still think I go out there and do and have great performances and play a solid field, but it is what it is, and that's kind of part of our MO. So that's fine with us, and that we can just keep it on the chalkboard for our team.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned obviously the goal is to get back to the playoffs. So what, the roster hasn't changed. You haven't changed anything about the people and the pieces. So what is it going to take to get the A's back into the playoffs this season?
Well, so, one thing we've always kept up with is just a consistent team. And, we've had our, me, Paul, Alex have been together for so long. And so Michael Carl isn't playing this year. So he won't be there. But, me, Paul, Alex, Chris, and Evan, and Josh also can't play this year. So it went
Oh,
from a very expanded roster last year to a little condensed this year, which, um, to points that you were making earlier, I think can benefit us with a more um, balanced roster of all of us being a little more engaged, more playing time. So that's something that I think we're hoping that'll benefit us with us being a little more engaged. Um, I think we're all looking to perform well. I think Evans can be a great number one pitcher for us this year, um, and I expect me, Paul, Chris, and Al to have great hitting performances.
yeah.
So I think that's
So
I think that's the big thing.
yeah, so I didn't know Mike or Josh were coming this year. So yeah, you're down to 5 guys now. Um,
Yeah,
and so is Paul end up is that mean he's like your number two on the mound?
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Because Josh has had some arm issues which dated back to last season, and he's still
Yeah.
recovering. And Michael, unfortunately, will be out of town this season, but looking to come back in the future. But that is the one benefit of having an expanded roster is that you know injuries and life things in the happen. So there's been, but we will. We've got a solid five this year that we're looking forward to performing well with.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to, coming off of having 7 guys rostered with these 2 guys missing. I mean, you look at the if the Yankees had 2 guys that couldn't come or got hurt, that's half their team.
Yeah.
So now they're the far outlier at this point with 4 guys, but you're not
Yes.
scrambling going into the season trying to find players, which is great. So
Yeah. Yeah. So even, I think we heard from Josh maybe 2 weeks ago saying, is he's still recovering and he can't play. Um, so it's as much as we are going to be missing Josh on the mound. We are at the benefit of not having to be searching for players to fill that role.
yeah. Well, hopefully Josh will still at least make an appearance at the field, come root for you guys and say hi to the fellas. And we still want to see the guy. So
Yeah, I agree, and I'm looking forward to seeing him there and helping him uh, a quick recovery to come back to our team in the future.
yeah,
So
if he does show up, just stick him over at third and make him coach.
yeah, yeah, he does have a great third base coach. Stance out there.
Yeah.
He'd be a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's keep looking at season 21 now that we're kind of already there. Your division came out. You're in the Corner Pub and Grill division. It's the Orioles, the Astros, and the A's. It's the same division as last year. So when that came out, what are your thoughts? Do you think having the same division helps? Does it hurt? Like, what are your thoughts?
Um, does it help or hurt? I think either way. I think our 3 teams all play competitive games, and I think it adds to create some rivalry a little bit between us 3.
Mhm.
I feel like we split with you guys every year.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've created a little bit of every game is pretty close, or you might beat up on us, then we might beat up on you. Every out of our season split every year.
Yeah.
So every when every game matters and every game counts, and we're constantly playing each other, I think that just adds to the fun of the weekend. I know the Orioles are pretty are I think they kicked our butts pretty hard last year, but I still like to reminisce that before last year, every Sam and Brett team never beat the A's, so we're hoping to continue that. So all in all, I'm just happy that as much as it'd be fun to switch things around, I enjoy creating a little more of this rivalry between us and the Astros and us and the Orioles.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, and it's hard to say when I was thinking about it from our perspective. It's hard to say that it's a benefit or a disadvantage. It's just more history, like especially with teams like us, right? We've been around. The A's, the Astros have been in the league for quite some time now.
Yeah.
so it just adds to that. And there were a lot of years where it was just one game between us because
Oh yeah.
we were in the same tier, so we weren't playing each other a bunch of times. But um, what I like about it is that we get along with all the players so well. It's not that other teams don't get along with certain people. It's just
Yeah.
that there has been a good amount of camaraderie between all the players on these three teams. And so it makes for fun games, especially when they get close and competitive, even if there's a call that may be like, hey, I don't want to call it controversial, just an
Yeah.
argument, maybe a close
Mhm.
call, like, it's going to be able to get worked out. So
Yeah.
without it getting heated and everything like that. So
Yeah.
um
There's definitely a lot of love between us three teams. I think there's probably I don't know. I mean, between me, like art between me, Alex, and Paul, and then you, among other people in your. I mean, and then everyone in the Orioles. We've probably all. I've been in the league crazy enough almost 10. This is like my 10th year, I think.
really,
And but
hold on, time out. Say on that. So would if this is your 10th year, it's my 10th year. It would also be Ty's 10th year. Were we all rookies the same year?
I'm looking back, and my first year was 2013. So maybe last year was my 10th, but I missed.
Yeah, I think this is your 11th year.
Okay,
Yeah.
I missed a season or two
Oh,
throughout
okay.
the years. I will say that because I mean I've gotten hurt before and have missed a full season a couple times. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
this could be my actual 10th year, but
Okay.
I started in 13.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Hmm.
I was just curious. I always remember Ty being in my rookie class because Ty won Rookie of the Year that year. So
Yeah.
that's all. That's the only person I remember. Oh no, David Olderman was in that class too. Um, because
Okay.
we still back then we still had rookie, or what was it, the futures game where you had all the rookies play, which was
Yes.
now you would just have like one guy throwing to nobody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you can't do
And
that.
I forgot who I did not win Rookie of the Year my first year, and the person that did is not playing anymore. But it was our rookie year. It was me, Matt Boding, and Luke Bacula and Ray McGrew. That was the A's because
Nice.
Alex was out of town.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you guys are in game one this year. It's your
yeah.
first appearance in game one. Talk about that, just what you're expecting, why you guys decided to do game one.
I'm excited. I think you know this would be new for us, but I think it'll be exciting. I think um, we've always had a nice friendly rivalry with the Rockies too, and I'm excited to see even what their team looks like this year. I feel like they've. Um, I know last year they've had some changes. I don't really know what their roster is even looking like this year, but I always love playing against Blake and Brian, um, and Grant. If I don't know if Grant's coming for the opening for game one, but no, I'm excited to play them. You know, I was talking to our team. It's like even though it's one less game, I'm like, well, that's one less game that we could be on our bodies for Memorial Day weekend. Even though it's just one game, I'm like, hey, I'd love to play an extra game beforehand, so we don't have to worry about it. So I'm excited. It'd be different. It's just um, it's a week earlier, but I think it'll be good. To potentially win that game and come into the season with some momentum. But we'll see. I'm excited. Um, and yeah, and I always love watching the whole get up for the previous game one. So I'm looking forward to being a part of this year's.
Yeah, it's an experience for sure. And like, I mean, I don't have the benefit of having won the game one, but I think coming in with a win can be very encouraging for your mentality coming into the weekend, right? You're sort of ahead of everybody else, and you're not feeling like you're playing catch up, especially for teams like us where we're always sort of in the thick of it, always
Yeah.
hunting, fighting. It feels like, as the season goes on, everything becomes even more important. And then, if you come in with that first win, you sort of have that off your shoulders, at least for the first round of games. At that point, then it kind of changes, but at least you can relax a touch. So the rest of your schedule, have you had a chance to look at it? Did anything kind of stick out to you guys about the way the schedule kind of panned out?
Let me bring it up. I did take a look at it. Um, the thing is, especially these last few years, you know, every game is tough. There's no gimmies anymore. So every game, it takes a lot to win every game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just the A's, but we've always been, we don't make anything easy on ourselves either. As much as I think we can win any game, we don't make anything easy. So every game's always a grind. But I am appreciating that we only have one 7 a.m. game, which is on the last Monday. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I think nothing really speaks out to me too much. But I know that our last 5 games are White Sox, Orioles, Astros, Twins, Yankees. So I think we really gotta start strong, um, just to give us some leeway to get to the end of the season. But again, no matter what, I think every game is everything. Every game is tough. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. I would, before I think I used to look at certain runs of teams we would have to play in certain orders. And I feel like that's gotten diminished over the years because, like you said, every game ends up being tougher. Even the ones you think might be easier, they end up, for whatever reason, Jimmy, the Expos, Jimmy throws is just on fire and it makes it really hard. You might score 3 runs and you got to hope that holds or something like that, you know.
yeah,
So nothing's easy anymore. A lot of times, yeah, I'm looking at spacing. Sam has started building in kind of gaps where you don't necessarily have to get to the field until a certain time, or you can
yeah,
leave early if you want, or even go home for a certain period of time. So that's helped a little bit, especially as we all get older and have families and stuff like that. So a little bit more recovery time, a little bit more bonding time, or whatever you want to call it, socializing as well. So
yeah. And I you know I and I agree that's part of it is, but you like to try to spend as much time as you can with everyone at the field, just part of the weekend. But in terms of the actual games, I mean, I feel like everyone by Sunday, everyone's always playing like the scheduling and like the standings game. We're like, well, you know, if we win this game and the other team loses these next two, I'm in. But um, and you could play out everyone's playing every scenario out in their head and be like, okay, this is even if we're going to playoffs, like well, we can get a number one seed if we win this game, or but at the end of the day, we just got to win the games, and that's
yeah,
all that matters. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule, and there's no gimmies, so
yeah,
every game can be tough. So I don't, I don't, I don't want to be trying to play the standings in the scheduling game this early,
yeah,
before the season even starts. We're coming in fresh. We still think we will win most of these games. So
yeah. Well, the power rankings for pitching, fielding, and hitting all just came out. But the overall power rankings haven't come out yet. So I'm curious, where do you
you
think you'll get ranked overall? And then where do you feel you should be ranked?
well, where do I think we're going to be ranked? I bet we'll be ranked eighth. Where do I think we should be ranked? I still think we should be ranked like fourth or fifth.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I like you said, no player on our team was in the top 20 um, for individual power rankings. So that kind of tells you the kind of respect that we get in this league.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I mean, we always finish around 500. We've got a solid squad, and we're all going to be more engaged this year. Um, and so you know, I'm pretty confident that we're going to be, 500 or above 500 this year. Um, and we could be ranked, whatever in, you know, fielding, hitting, and pitching, but I think, the stats might, and our performance has always been a little better than how we're always ranked. So,
Okay
um,
to be the underdog.
yeah, that's fine. I think, people always might think that we're going to tail off, or maybe we're easier wins than they imagine, but that's fine. I think going into the season, we're coming in confident, and we've always had a solid core, that we're going to come back, and I think we're going to do well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so going back to your schedule too, I think you'll know kind of early like how the season's going to go. I was like, you got the Rockies, who everyone expects to be competing for a wild card. They don't expect the kind of down year that they had last year.
Yeah.
They kind of feel like that's sort of the outlier. Well, especially, I mean, considering the fact that they never missed the playoffs until last season. So,
Hmm.
and really, they haven't really had any changes roster wise. The only really thing that's changing is that Grant actually gets to play this year.
Yeah.
And then after that, you've got the Marlins, who, had a good year last year, are,
Hmm.
also expected to be in that running for a wild card team. And then your third game is against the Astros. So another, wild card contender potentially. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that these teams can't compete to win their division, but at least what I'm hearing from what people think about these teams preseason wise, those are some of the teams. I mean, all the other teams, everybody's like, you can't count them out of the wild card. But I
Hmm.
think that's a good barometer to see like how kind of where you're at. And granted, you could have three great games and be like, all right, we're on top of the world. And then like, start hitting a couple rough patches, and then the
Hmm.
vice versa can happen too, where you come out flat, but then you start heating up and you rattle off a couple wins and you're back to 500. Anything can happen. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like it's a good measuring stick the way you get to start off your season to kind of see, okay, based on where people think we are and then where we think we can go. This gives us a pretty good indication of like what we've got going on, especially now that you're going with that 5-person team.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and when I see that, to me, in every game is essentially, we got to try to win every game as possible, but it is a good barometer because those first couple games are against maybe what is perceived as all the wild card ish type teams, and all the maybe the tier two type teams. So, yeah, for sure, that's those are the teams that I think that's kind of where we need to stack up against. We got to play well against. So, yeah, it will be interesting, and that's I think that we know that in the back of our mind too. But it's always a long weekend, so even if we don't start out strong, we know that going into the other games would probably not be expected to win, and I think that's even more of a chip on our shoulder
Yeah.
for the other games. But yes, I agree. I think that for those first couple games, the first 5 games will be a good barometer for the rest of our season. But
Yeah.
we're feeling pretty confident.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some predictions.
Okay.
So in our division, the Orioles, Astros, A's, who are you going to pick to win the division?
Um, I think the Orioles will probably win the division.
Okay.
Hmm.
Let's pick the other two division winners, that is.
Okay.
So in the Cardinal Blinds division, you got the Twins, the White Sox, and the Rockies.
Okay. Um, I'll say the Twins.
Okay. And then the Ketting Ice Center division, you've got the Yankees, the Marlins, and the Expos.
I'll do the Yankees.
Okay. So top three teams stay top three teams. All right,
Hmm.
now pick your sorry. Pick your two wild card teams.
I think it'll be. I think it'll be the A's and the Astros.
Oh, so all three teams coming out of the division.
I think so. Yeah.
We're gonna have to split everybody split games and beat the crap out of everybody else.
I believe it.
Let's go. I
Yeah.
would love it. It's never been done. I would love to be the first division to do it, especially coming off of, hey, we're the same division as last year. That would just be epic.
Hey, I think we have the toughest division, so I believe it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, now that transitions us to our hard hitter segment. Random questions, some wiffle ball related, some not, just
Okay.
for funsies. So,
Okay.
first question: what is the final record for the A's?
I think we'll be 6-4.
Who is the team MVP for season 21?
Uh, Paul, as always.
Yeah. What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? MacGruber.
Okay. Who will lead the league in home runs in season 21?
Um, I think it'll be. I think it'll be Kevin Poley.
Kevin Poley. Who which team is your favorite to play against?
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, Honestly, I'll pick the Rockies. It's our
Okay.
game one opponent. I think we've always had good good rapport, good close games, no matter the year. So,
All right, cool. Favorite place to get breakfast during the weekend?
oh, um, uh, McDonald's.
Okay.
These breakfast. It's great.
It's an
Old
easy.
reliable. Yeah.
Um, who will lead the league in strikeouts as a hitter in season 21?
Edlo.
Edla. What is the official drink of the Athletics?
Um, Natural light.
Okay. Um, all right, boys' night out for the team. What's on the agenda?
What's on the agenda? I think hmm, I think I think we're having a barbecue. We're having a barbecue. Uh we're grilling some burgers, some hot dogs, some brats, putting some corn on the grill. I think we're just having some beers at one of our houses, and we're gonna have a bonfire outside. A nice night out. We're gonna play some music, maybe play some bags, or maybe even toss a football around.
Sweet. Low
Yeah,
key night. I like it.
a low key night. Yeah,
I
just
feel
some
like if
team
I keep
classic team bonding. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like if I keep asking this question over the years, it's gonna be like, well, we're gonna, go to a quiet coffee shop and probably be in bed at like 7:30.
yeah. But get home, get home before the sun goes down. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Have
make sure we
have a
get.
have a bunch of ice packs for our knees.
Yeah, make sure we go to bed early so we can get up before break of dawn. Have a good next day.
Yeah. All right, last question. Who wins the championship?
I can't pick against us, so I'm going to say the A's. I think we're going to make it to the playoffs, and again, I think again, no one expects us to do anything. We're always counted out, so I think we're going to sneak in and we're going to pull off some upsets.
All right. Heard it here for first. Shocking the world again. So
That's right.
pull out the old flag and have some fun.
Yeah, and this is and I think another thing too. I think is going to be here. Probably the most he's been in a long time. So that's another added benefit. I think he's always been the heart and soul of the team. Paul the MVP, Alex the heart and soul. So we're looking forward to having more close knit group this year. So we're all really excited.
Sweet. Well, we're excited to see you. I appreciate you jumping on here and doing this real quick. Just want to thank 1356 Public House again for sponsoring and being a presenting sponsor for the season. Also want to thank Corner Pub and Grill being a division sponsor for the A's and the other teams. Stay tuned. We've still got some more captains interviews coming. We've got the power rankings will be out at some point, and fantasy wiffle ball, we'll be kind of talking about that, doing a season preview. So still some more content coming before the end of the off season and we get to Memorial Day weekend. Steve, appreciate you jumping on here, man, doing this with me. It's good to talk to you and catch up. Until game one, I'll see you then.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it. See you soon.
See you, bud. Bye.
Yeah.